started. Good morning, guys.
Morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Very good morning to one and all. I'm going to share my screen so that you can able to see my presentation. Guys, are you able to see my desktop? Is it visible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, thanks. Who is speaking? I'm not getting your voice clearly. Guys, anyone not able to see my desktop? Guys, are you able to see my desktop?
Yes, sir.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Someone told no. That's why I'm again asking. Okay, thanks for your response and comments. We are going to start. So virtual class, live video session. So the subject code is UDIT 303, object-oriented programming. The course name is. And we are going to see, obviously, our unit number 1. The topic name is Principles of Food. So this is attendance myself. So last week we discussed that. Then learning objective and outcome. The next one, recap of previous class. Then introduction about the topic. Then explanation. Then afterwards summarization. Then Q&A, feedback if any. This is what the thing I'm going to follow this session. So guys, am I audible to everyone? Is there any clarity missing
Yes,
in my
sir.
audio?
Yes, sir.
Oh, is there any audio clarity missing? Everyone getting following my audio, right?
Sir.
Yeah, fine. Thanks, sir. So I'm going to take the attendance. So guys, please unmute your audio so that you mark your presence. So answer attendance, Mohammed Etisam. Etisam?
Yes.
Yeah, Babita. Yeah, okay, fine.
Present, sir.
Babita, Christina,
Present, sir.
Dhanushma.
Sir, she's coming, sir. She's having network issues.
Okay. I'll wait. Vishnunath,
Present, sir.
Akash, Akash A. Is there or not? Akash is there. Akash, yes.
Present, sir.
Andres Jabbar,
Yes.
Jabbar, Arvind, Ashwin Minno,
Present, sir.
Ashwin Min, yeah, Ashwin is there. Ashutosh Padi,
Present, sir. Present, sir.
Ashwin Nair, yeah, Ashwin Nair, no Ashwin Nair, yes, it's not present. Okay, Balaji,
Present, sir.
Bhaskar Anthony,
Yes, sir. Present, sir.
Bhuneshwaran,
Present, sir.
Gautam Reddy,
Present, sir.
Jagdishwaran, Kishore,
Present, sir.
Krishna Prasad,
Present, sir.
Muhammad,
Present, sir.
Muhammad Amimullah. Then Muhammad ARS, Murli Krishna, Praveen Balaji,
Present, sir.
Premnath,
Present, sir.
Rakesh,
Present, sir.
Regis Benny, Rishabh Bandia,
Present, sir.
then Rohan Kumar, Rohan Kumar, Sankar Lingam,
Present, sir.
Rohan Kumar available still. There, but not responding. Okay, Sankar Lingam. Okay, Sankar Lingam present. Sarang,
Present, sir.
Sadish, Sheikh Shajan, Shahrukh Basha,
Present, sir.
Shobit Sham,
Present, sir.
Sriraj, Sanjay,
Present, sir.
Present, sir.
Sri Hariram, Srilesh, Srilesh,
Sir, present, sir. Sir, present, sir.
yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, fine. Vignesh,
Present, sir.
Vikram,
Present, sir.
Vivek Kumar,
Present, sir.
Vivek Kumar Singh, Vivek,
Yes, present, sir.
Vivek R is present.
Yes, sir. Present, sir.
Okay, fine. Yogi,
Present, sir.
Hari Arjun Vignesh, Hari Arjun Vignesh, Kumar is there. Okay. Kolayash, Leo, Jagannathan, Hemachandran, Hemachandran,
Yes.
Ramya Muthu,
Present, sir.
Ramya Muthu present.
Present, sir. Present, sir.
Okay, fine. Okay, thanks for your response.
Sir, you didn't call
This
my
is-
name,
yeah.
sir.
What's the name, pa?
Sri Hariram, sir.
Sri Hariram. I already called.
No, sir.
I mark you as a present. I already called.
Sir,
Okay.
sir, Aravind is present, sir.
Whom?
Aravind.
Jagadishwaran. No, what's the name? I'm not seeing you.
Aravind is present.
Jagadishwaran?
Aravind.
Aravind. Yeah, Aravind. Where is Aravind? Yeah, okay, fine. I will mark you as present. Okay, fine. With this, we are getting back to our slide. So, introduction about myself. Myself, Subramanian E, belongs to Department of Information Technology and working for AMEC for past 3 years. Guys, please mute your audio. Mute your audio, pa. And totally having 12 years experience in this, 12.5 experience in this teaching arena. This is what my introduction. Then this do's and don'ts we already discussed the last week. So I'm going to skip this slide. The next one, learning objective and outcome. The objective is to learn basic concepts of object-oriented programming. So with this, what you are going to achieve? The outcome is learning outcome to apply the object-oriented approach to programming and identify potential benefits of object-oriented programming to solve engineering problems. That is what the outcome you are going to get. Then a recap of the previous class. So what we discussed in the last class means we revised the syllabus and we started our basic things. That is, what is the necessary or purpose of using this OOP, that is object oriented programming, rather C. So you can also call this POP, it is procedure oriented programming. So what are the flaws available under POP? What are the advantages available under OOP? That is what we discussed with a small program and with some small concepts. So this class we are going to get much deeper into the previous class. That is what we are going to do. So this is what a small right now we are going to discuss about the topic under unit number 1, that is principles of object oriented programming. So in other words, we can also call this as object oriented programming. In short, I can tell that as OOPS, OOPS. So OOPS concept, you can refer this topic name as OOPS concepts also. In other words, we can also tell this as the same as object oriented programming, that is OOPS paradigms. So three names are available for this topic. First one is principles of OOP or basic concepts of OOP or OOPS paradigms. OOPS paradigms. Guys, are you able to follow me? Right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So you
Yes.
title. Can you repeat? First one is principles of OOP. It can be also called as
Object oriented
other
programming.
name, object oriented programming concept. Okay,
Basic
then
concept of OOP.
basic concepts of OOP, or also it can be called as object oriented programming paradigms or OOPS paradigms. That is what. So three different titles also going to point out only one topic. So be aware about your question. Okay, in the exam point of view, I am telling. So in the exam paper, if any of three title comes means you are going to write only one answer. That is what the thing I want to insist. Okay, so this is what the thing. So guys, is it visible to everyone? My PDF, or I want to zoom? Guys, please respond.
Visible, sir.
Everyone
It is visible.
visible. Visible. Okay, okay. Okay, fine. I am moving to the concept. So introduction to object-oriented program. That is what the topic. Before getting into that, before getting into the principles, we already discussed in the last class. Just I am going to make a recap. So what is the flaw available under POP? that is procedure oriented programming means what I told in the last comes under POP means what? Am I
Sir, your
audible?
voice is breaking.
My voice
Voice
is
is breaking.
breaking. Yeah. Now it is audible?
Sir,
Yeah. Okay, fine. POP programming languages are Basic, Gopal, C, and Fortran. So out of this, Basic, Gopal, Fortran gets outdated. C is still alive because C is the mother of all programming languages. That is what. So the things, I mean, the flaws under the POP are data theft. That is, anyone can understand the programming, the flow of the programming easily. So the person can make that is, he or she can manipulate your data, your variables, etc. That is what the main flaw. So in OOP, we are going to overcome that. That is what the concept of OOP. The second point, the very specific point is second point. This OOP approach treats data as critical element and does not allow the data to freely move around the program. How we are, or how as a programmer, you are going to not allowing the data to move around means it bundles the data more closely to the functions that operate on it. That is what I told in the last class. So data encapsulation and data abstraction. That is what we discussed in the last class. So with the help of this object, with the help of the class, data abstraction, data encapsulation, we are not allowing the data to move around the program, so that if he or she may interfere into your program, he or she may not able to get the flow of this or of using this OOP concept rather than this POP. That is what the thing. So the diagram shows that there is one object, there is object A and then object B, then object C. So within this only, the object communication going to be happen. Out of this, if any other object, there is object D comes means unless we are not providing the permission, the object D cannot able to communicate with object A, B, or C. I will tell one real-time example. You are in your class. Maybe in your class members, you're having a friend. Outside, any one of the member or a member from other department come and talk to you means the person is not supposed to be a friend. He or she come and talk to you means you're not supposed to answer because you're not knowing that particular personality. So without your permission, because if you are initiated conversation, new personality to you or you with new personality. That is what the thing. That's what the OOP obviously going to do. So establishing a connection between the newcomer and the old one, and then communication going to be starts, so that no one can understand the flow. That is what the ultimatum. Then a small comparison between the OOP and POP. In short, C and C++. So here in POP, Programs are divided into smaller subprograms known as functions. But in C++, programs are divided into objects and class. That is what I explained in the last class. Then new data and functions can be added easily. Here also, new data and functions can be added easily. It is known as top-down approach because we are starting from the header files and we are ending up with the close braces. It is end braces. But in C++, it is called as bottom-up approach because we are writing the header file. After that, we are writing the class. After that, only we are starting our main function. So from the main function only, class going to be called. So it is called as the bottom-up approach. Then next one, data security. The data security is the biggest flaw I told. In C++, it is the biggest advantage. Data can be secured and can be available in the class in which it is declared. That is just like you are allotted one classroom means you are supposed to sit that only. You cannot move around. I mean, you can move around within the class, but you cannot transfer your room from one place to another place. For example, in the A block, your room allotted is S5. Consider you are supposed to move around. You are supposed to sit only in that S5 only. You cannot move to T5 or T4. That is what the thing. Then the fifth point. The reusability is not possible, hence redundant code cannot be avoided. But in C++, using the existing one, that is, once the code written, pre-written code cannot be repeated again in C, but there is a concept available under OOPS in C++. The concept name is inheritance. The next one, it does not have any access specifier. In C++, we are having three types of access specifiers: public, private, and then protected. That is what I explained with the help of a small program. So under class, we are using any one of this access specifier. If the class variable function be accessed by everyone, then you can declare the same as public. If you want to put some restriction, then you can use protected. If you want to block entirely, you can use private. That is what the three access specifiers available under this C++. But the same case was not available under C. So that only the data can freely move around and it can be taken by any other person. Then 8 point, overloading is not possible, but in C++, we are having one specific concept called, there is OOPS concept called polymorphism. So with the help of this polymorphism, we can achieve this overloading. I will tell the what is overloading concept later. Then last point, example for POP programming languages are, as we discussed, Gopal, C, Basic. These are all some examples. For OOP, C++, Java, Smalltalk, Lisp, Python, there are so many examples. Whatever the programming language or languages we are using nowadays, mostly incorporates this OOP concepts only. That is what the main advantage of this OOP. So this is what I want to share. Then this is what the real thing we are going to see right now. That is basic concepts of OOP, principles of OOP, or OOP paradigms. That is what. So there are 7 things or 7 principles available. Guys, till now you followed me. Having any queries or doubts? Guys,
No
are
doubt,
you
sir.
able to
No,
follow me?
sir.
Yeah,
No.
sir, we are
Okay.
listening.
Okay. Thanks for your response. And then, so 7 principles, 7 concepts, 7 paradigms available. So the first concept is, or first concept are object, then class, followed by data abstraction and encapsulation, followed by inheritance, polymorphism, dynamic binding, and then message passing. This is the thing. First one, object. So I gave some sort of outline about object in the previous class itself. That is, you are the object, myself also an object. Object is a runtime entity which can be also be a living or non-living things. That is what I told in the last class. So you, myself, table, chair, electrical items, that is fan, light, everything comes under object. I told one example also, tree example. So tree consists of root, trunk, branches, leaves, after that flowers, followed by fruits. So in the tree, these all are considered as objects. So everything comes under objects, living and non-living things. So what is the purpose of this? Using object means this object can store the data, send and receive messages. Example, consider you as an object. So you as an object means you are a living object. Chair, table, desk, those all comes under non-living entities or non-living object. So as a person, you are able to store the data in your memory. Then you can talk to another person. You can also listen to that particular person as you are doing right now. This is what. Okay, so as your object, you are able to store the data, you are able to send the messages and also receive the messages as well. That is what the object. So I put an example, student object, sorry, student class, and then circle class. So in the name, as I take one student, student has name, and student class the date of birth, gender, address, phone number, email ID. So those are all comes under the class called student. Then circle. So circle, you can also find radius of circle. You can also find the color of the circle. So under circle, you can also add up area. Area is also one of the object. So this is what the thing. Then we are moving to the second concept, that is class. So guys, are you able to follow the object? Is it clear? It's a very important question for your examination point of view.
Sir,
Yeah. Are you able to follow the concept object?
sir, can the objects can be of unsimilar types, sir?
Unsimilar types. Yeah, it can be unsimilar types. For example, one object can be of integer, that is whole number, and another object can be a character. Anything may be. That is what I told, generic. Object can be a living or non-living entities. Okay. For
Sir,
example,
but you can't add it in a class. The class would be of similar types only. Similar types of
no.
You can't
No, not
be
like
different.
you are telling us. Oh, your voice is breaking. Please repeat the question.
Sir, can the class can be considered if we have unsimilar objects?
Yeah, class can be an unsimilar object. Only the structure having structure also having unsimilar object. The difference is the in the class we are using the access specifier rather than declaring all those data visible to everyone. In the class we are using some access specifiers, but until unless we can use or the programmer can use unsimilar objects. One can be a integer, one can be a floating point, one can be a character. That depends upon the problem you are taken. Okay, well, you
Okay,
are
sir.
able to declare the unsimilar object. For example, in the taken example itself, I declare, for example, name and grade. Okay, well, so under name you can use the character. Under grade you can also use either character or integer. Grade 1 you can use, or else you can use the character. Okay, so available under object. Clear, pa?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So if it is not cleared, means you can also read out the second line under object. They are runtime entities. They may represent a person, a place, a bank account, a table of data, or any item that the program must handle. Example I am telling, person comes under the character data type, that is name. Then bank account number usually comes under the data type of whole number, that is integer. So you can use any data types, that is unsimilar data types also can be used. That is what the thing. Shall I move to the next concept, class? Guys,
Yes,
shall I move to the next
Yes, sir.
concept, class?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
fine.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, fine. Thanks. So second concept, class. So class, in the last class itself, I gave the outline. It is the collections of object. So collections of object in the sense, it also be a collections of living or non-living things. For example, you are under class E, third year, are all considered an object. Starting from Muhammad and ending with Ramaya, all are considered as an object. You are a living object. Apart from that, in your class, you are having table, desk, then your mobile phone, your projector, then lighting systems, audio, video, anything maybe. All are comes under objects, but there is a combination of living and non-living entities. So under class 3, that is third year, you are all considered as an object. That is what the thing I want to tell. Here, a class is a collection of objects of similar type. So here, what is the meaning means? If I declared a name, if I declared address, then both are of similar type. But I can also have the integer, I can also have the floating. For example, I'm telling I am considering you, that is a student. Example, personal information, if I'm taking means a student has the name, a student has the address, phone number, email ID, gender, those all comes into the point. While I'm taking the academic, I want to have the department name, group name, then class, and then marks semester wise, or in the semester, within the semester, I want a subject wise, and then total, and then average. For the total, I'm going to use the input. For the average, I'm going to use the float data type, because average can also have the decimal points. The decimal points itself playing some vital role while taking admission, or while taking counseling, or if you want to compete with any other job in the market. That is what. So here the example, fruit, mango. So fruit is the generic one. Generic one means fruit is the general thing. Under that, so many fruits listed. This example is stated. You can also have the same example, real-time example, whatever I told. So third year naval. So 3 naval or naval 3. It's your class. Under that, I can use any other name as an object. For example, naval 3, Muhammad. Naval 3, Ramaya Muthu. Naval 3, Yogi. I can use any name. So Yogi comes under object and Naval 3 comes under class. So class is the collections of object. That is what. So clear, pa? Shall I move to the next one? Next concept. If you have any doubts, you can raise. Otherwise, I am to the third concept. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Guys, I am
Yes, sir.
asking you only.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yes, sir.
So I'm moving to the
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
third concept. Yeah, I'm moving to the third concept: data abstraction and encapsulation. So this also I discussed earlier. Wrapping up of data and its functions into a single unit is known as encapsulation. It means the example I told in the earlier class was candy with a wrapper. So candy with a wrapper. That is what the example I told. Here, what we are doing in our program means class going to be one container and main function going to be another container. So this two container gets into one container called our program name. That is what the wrapping up of data into a and its functions into a single unit. So whatever the data variable, whatever the keywords, whatever the functions available, you are going to wrap it up. That is what. So with the help of this, the data is not accessible to the outside world, and only those functions which are wrapped in the class can access it. That is what the main advantage. You cannot reveal the thing, whatever you already got wrapped to the outside world. That is what the ultimate aim. Then the second one, that is data abstraction. So I told earlier, I guess, data abstraction also called as data hiding. Here, real time, one question I am asking. In the Google search, you are typing one query. For example, object oriented programming. While you are pressing enter, have you know the background knowledge or background process, whatever they are going in the browser or the server, having any knowledge about that? Guys, I posted the question. You are in Google search, opening the browser, entering the google.com. In the Google search, you are typing object oriented programming and pressing the enter. So after that, did you know the background process, what all going on? Are you able to get my question or not cleared with the question?
Not clear,
Guys,
sir.
not clear with my question. Okay, I will ask another simple question. You are going to the ATM to withdraw some amount. So after entering your card and then PIN number, you are withdrawing your amount. So are you aware about the background process? What are all going behind ATM machine?
Yes, sir.
No, which process is going on? After pressing your, after putting your card and pressing your number, what is the background process going on? Have you know the entire flow? Entire flow? What are things going in the background? Guys, please respond. Whether you are knowing or not knowing. I am
Sir,
asking about the entire flow. Entire flow. Yeah, tell.
sir, after entering some data, it will convert into machine reading language,
Ah,
then sends
ah,
to
ah,
the server.
ah,
Then server responds to that IP address. Then it
ah.
will return back to the user as a uh,
Hmm.
man readable language.
No, I am asking about the ATM machine. You are telling about the normal programming. Okay. So it is somewhat clumsy. Whatever the answer you told, it's somewhat clumsy. Not exactly, but somewhat there's a match. Okay, well, there is a huge process going after that ATM machine. What I asked means, as a person, you know or not knowing the background process. That is what I asked. It is not necessary to know all the background processes. For example, as a layman, you're not supposed to aware about all those things. Every object, I mean everything, whatever you are using in your home, whatever the thing. Okay, maybe your laptop, or you can take the kitchen utensils, or simple example, water bottle. There are so many examples without knowing the background process. It's not necessary because you are a person of naval architecture. So, as a naval architect, you want to know, or you're supposed to know, the architecture of the ship, the composition of the ship structure or ship construction. But in every point of thing, there is not necessary to know the background process. I am a computer science background engineer. So I want to know the computer processes, what all going in the background. For example, whatever I told with the ATM machine, or the same example, Google search. So as a computer engineer, I want to know. As a naval architect, it is not a necessary thing. The same thing also for mine. As a computer science engineering, as a background, I don't want to know the background process of ship construction while I'm traveling with the ship. That is what the data hiding. So as a programmer, you are going to make, or you are going to hide a data from the end user. End user means you are the end user. Myself is the end user. We are the end user because one products product get developed and it coming to the market, sold in the market, means it going to one user. That user is going to be called as end user. That end user don't want to know about the composition. That is what the thing. Maybe if you want, you can Google it, or else as a person, if you're knowing something means you can Google it. But if you are a person not willing to know, then you can just skip that and you can use the product. You can consume the product. That is what the thing. That is what the data hiding. So since the classes use the concepts of data abstraction, it can also called as ADT, abstract data types. So most of the class using this concept. So you can also refer the class as ADT. This is what the encapsulation. This is what the abstraction. Guys, are you able to follow or able to get the point? Having any queries in this data abstraction and data encapsulation? Any queries, Pa, in this data abstraction and encapsulation? Clear? So I took this silence as a positive thing. With this, I am going to wind up the session, and then I'm going for the next one, that is summarization as per our agenda. So today's class we discussed about POP and OOP, that is the flaws and application, disadvantages of POP and advantages of OOP. That is what we are going to, we discussed today's session. So POP has some advantages like data security, then using much functions, lagging in some of the concepts called reusing, that is redundant data usage, then overloading concepts. Those are all missing under this POP, that is procedure oriented approach. And we seen some examples. They are basic, Fortran, Gopal, and then C. Then while we coming for the C++, here we are using some concepts. There is 7 concepts, basic concepts, which helps out to provide the security to our data. And then overloading concepts are also available here. Then reusability of code is also available here. So some example programming languages which are using this OOP are C++, Java, Lisp, Smalltalk, Python, etc. There are so many languages. Then, while we coming for this principles of OOP, concepts of OOP, OOP paradigm, there are 7 concepts. So under this, we seen 3 concepts in the today's session. So the first one is object, second one is classes, third one is data encapsulation and abstraction, fourth one is inheritance, fifth one is polymorphism, followed by dynamic binding, and the last one is message passing. These are the concepts. So under this, we discussed objects. Object means it's a combination of a runtime entity or living runtime entity or non-living runtime entity. So this is what the object. Then classes. So classes is the collection or collections of object. That is what the class. So you can have the living, non-living entity, runtime entities clubbed with one name. That name is going to be referred as class. That is what the thing. Then the third one, data abstraction and data encapsulation. Data abstraction means you are going to hide the background details or background process. That is what the data hiding your abstraction. So with this, you are going to provide only the solution to the end user, not the entire programming. That is what the data hiding. Then data encapsulation. Encapsulation in the sense you are going to wrapping up of your keywords, variables, functions, keyword variables, identifiers, and also the functions into a single unit, just like a candy. That is what the data encapsulation. So with this, you are providing security to your data. Your data cannot be easily move around to the entire thing. That is what the thing. Okay, ma? So with this, I concluded the session. So I'm going to conclude it as well. I'm going to stop sharing of the screen. The last one. No. Is there any question and answers or feedback? Pa? Shall I move to the attendance? Vikram.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Vikram, you use the raise option. Having any doubts or questions?
No, sir.
Okay. In the chat option, you raised your hand. That is what I asked. Okay, fine. The last thing, I'm going to take attendance again. So, guys, please unmute your audio and make your presence. Mohammed,
Present, sir.
Babita, Christina,
Present, sir.
Babita is there. Danushma,
Sir, Babita.
yeah, okay. Danushma,
Sir, Babita. Present.
okay, ma, I marked you as a present. Danushma, Vishnunath,
Present, sir.
what about Danush? Yeah, okay. What about Danushma? Is she came or Danushma is there? Not responding. Vishnunath,
Present, sir.